Say, how would you feel if the government had a database that tracks your movements by capturing an image of your car with time, date, and location information, not when you run a red light or a toll booth or exceed the speed limit, but anywhere, anytime, today? And furthermore, how would you feel if that were not a hypothetical question? I'm PJTV's Scott Ott, joined now by Stephen Green and Bill Whittle. Well, men, thanks in part to some $50 million in grants to local police from the Federal Department of Homeland Security, it's quite likely that your car and therefore your movements are being tracked in a database that never gets erased. They have a car-mounted gizmo that takes a picture every time it sees a license plate, thousands of times per minute as they drive by. But it's not just the government. The repo man has this technology too, and if you miss a few payments, he'll know just where to find your Prius. He'll be waiting for you at the Little League field Thursday at 5:30 when you bring the kids. Well, Bill, there are some ACLU types that are all lathered up about this license plate monitoring technology, but frankly, these are scary times, and we can't afford to track terrorists by the sound of explosions after the fact. Don't you agree that intercepting terrorists is job one?
Nicely played, Scott Ott, putting me opposite the ACLU, which is, of course, naturally my position, but I'm with the ACLU on this one. There is no reasonable explanation for any of this, none. And we talked about this a little bit in our conference call. The main problem, of course, is that computer memory is becoming so inexpensive that you can literally afford to keep everything forever. I had heard a story, I'd seen it, it was on the cover of a reputable magazine, I forget which one it was, but it was on the shelf just a little while ago. Picture of like a silhouette of a mountain at sunset. And it's apparently the National Security Agency is building into a mountain a gigantic, the world's most advanced data processing center. It's going to track and record every single email, pretty much every single mouse click made by every single person, if not in the country, then in the world. Apparently, we have the technological means to do that now. I don't know why they'd want this information, but I can't imagine a good outcome for it. If I was incoming President Mitt Romney, I would declare as part of my campaign that I'm going to dismantle this thing. Because seriously, if every American is under constant surveillance as a result of a fear of terrorism, then the terrorists really have one. I know it's a hackneyed old phrase, but it's really true.
Hey, if Mark Zuckerberg can have that information, why can't the U.S. government? Well, Stephen, while this may sound like an intrusion, the all-seeing eye and the database that never forgets, these gizmos also serve the greater good by making it easier for government to serve warrants and subpoenas, to recover stolen vehicles. You're not going to let your libertarian ideology stand in the way of Grandma getting her Camaro back, are you?
It's my Camaro.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, this reminded me years ago, back when Vodka Pundit stole that new blog smell. I wrote a piece how we'd entered the age of surveillance. That if you wanted any privacy, stay home and draw the blinds. And that's just when they were installing cameras on street corners. I didn't actually worry about it too much. The essay was more of a sorrow than an anger thing. It was just a new age. But what I didn't think about was what Bill just brought up, and that is they save everything, they erase nothing, and they'll have Google-type algorithms to put together profiles on anybody. Now maybe that's benign, but maybe it's not. It depends on who holds the data. So I don't want anybody holding the data. And one other thing, Scott, my grandmother drove a Mustang.
Communist.
Good choice. Hey, Bill, the Wall Street Journal estimates that a third of large police departments already have these license plate scanners. 3,500 plates a minute these things can scan. Can you imagine any potential dangers should this tracking data fall into the wrong hands?
Well, yes, I can. I can imagine a lot of dangers if it falls into the right hands. One of the things that I find somewhat reassuring in all this, and only a little, don't mistake that to mean I'm off my guard on this, but one thing that I do find a little reassuring is that when there's a bunch of money hanging from a tree, anybody's going to go grab it, number one. And number two, policemen like toys and they like surveillance things. They got a fair amount of free time on their hand, and now they got a cool little computer screen that they can touch. And so I'm hoping that most of this is simply law enforcement saying, wow, shiny new toys for us to have. It's like the latest version of the super low LED bars at the top that flashes out messages in Morse code. And, they're constantly updating their little red lights, right? But I wish I could say that was comfort enough for me, but it's not. And here's the thing that concerns me, Scotty. One of these days, if it is indeed used for criminal activities, one of these days people are going to start using this in evidence in trials. But I haven't seen that happen, which is telling me that all of this information is being reserved for some giant sort of a big thing. You know what I mean? We haven't seen any prosecutions based on this yet, not that I'm aware of. So it's almost like I don't like the idea that all of this information is being drawn in and being, analyzed and being interpreted and profiles being written. I'm very concerned about this. I wasn't kidding when I said if I was president, I'd look into it and have 99% of it destroyed.
Cut down.
Well, Steve, prosecutors need a court order to put a GPS tracker on your car or to listen in on your communications or to enter your home and search and seize. Court order. That all sounds so quaint now. Is a loss of privacy simply the price we pay for our insatiable lust for light speed leaps in technology?
No, just because the rest of us have it is no reason. Look, we're in an age of trillion-dollar deficits at the federal level. States and counties and cities are going broke under the weight of public employee pensions and suffocating in the grip of public employee unions. Entitlements are exploding, all the rest. And we're finding money to arm police departments with the ability to track everybody to stop a few car thieves. What is wrong with us, Scott? What the hell is wrong with this country that these are our priorities?
Well, one of the challenges in preempting terrorist attacks is sifting through the terabyte mountains of data, seeking connections, discerning patterns, following hunches down blind alleys to dead ends. We keep thinking that if we have more data, we'll be safer. We'll do anything to be safer. Politicians will do anything to make you think you're safer. But the vast majority of intel that we gather in such high-tech dragnets captures quotidian activities of mundane non-combatants. Ironically, the bigger the haystack, the more elusive the needle. The mania for license plate scanning is like the paranoia that drives TSA security measures. We allow our government to violate everyone, hoping against history to catch the few bumbling malefactors too stupid to dodge the net. In the meantime, every day, you're treated like a suspect in a crime that may never happen. Of course, this may not alarm you as long as the government is run by good and decent people. But if that should change, the new regime will still have your data. For Bill Whittle, Stephen Green, and the entire Trifecta crew at PJTV.com, I'm Scott Ott.